Alright, another smart home video. So basically every dimmer in my house and every light and pretty much every device that I have the desire to be linked to my smart home is linked to my smart home with verbal commands, except for my under cabinet lighting. Now, I don't know about your under cabinet lighting, but my under cabinet lighting is based on a transformer plugged into the wall, hidden underneath here in the cabinet, and that attaches to a switch, which is under here, and when you hit it, you can turn them on and you can turn them off. I've got a plan to make this work with verbal commands through Google, so I can say, okay, G, turn on the cabinet lights, turn off the cabinet lights, and dim them appropriately, while setting a maximum dim level so I don't get that super annoying, oops, you went too far on the dimming and you turned it off. So let's get to the parts and the plan so you can see what's going on. Okay, so here's the plan. I'm going to try to sketch this out. So, you've got your wall outlet. Mine's hidden under the cabinet, right? 120 volts. We've got a transformer, AC to DC. We'll call that TR, transformer. Normally what happens is you get your 110 or 120 going into your transformer. You've got your DC coming out of the transformer, and that goes to a switch, which you control to get your lights. So here's the new plan. We've got a wall outlet with our 120 AC. From there, we're going to have a single gang electrical box with a Z-wave dimmer in it. Alright, so here you're going to get your positive and your negative feeding the Z-wave dimmer. Right, and then we're going to have another single gang, and this is going to be strategically where the other transformer is. They have to be separate. I don't want to use a two gang. And from the Z-wave output, the load line, which is the positive, the ground is going to go straight over to our single gang outlet. And then from there, the transformer is going to plug into this outlet with its standard connector, right? Standard AC plug, wall plug, USA style. So now what's happening is the transformer is actually plugged into not a 110 or 120 volt outlet. It's plugged into an outlet that's being controlled load-wise by the Z-wave dimmer. Okay, so when you give this thing the command to turn on or off, it controls the power to this outlet, which controls the power to the transformer, which controls our lights under the cabinet, right? And when we tell this to turn to a percentage, to dim it, dim the lights, brighten the lights, it's going to vary this load line to this outlet that the transformer is plugged into, therefore dimming the light. Because when you decrease the AC power going to this outlet, loading that transformer that converts this to DC, in turn, it decreases the voltage output DC proportionally. So here's our parts list. 1, 2, single gang, shallow boxes so they aren't too tall when I mount these to the inside of the cabinet where I want them to go. What happens is the dimmer is going to go here in one of these. The outlet's going to go in the other, like I showed you in that diagram. This thing folds over, snaps down nice and neat. We're going to screw this where we can access it in the front of the internal of the cabinet, in case you ever need to manually control it. So we've got two of these. We've got our Z-wave dimmer. I've been using these Levitons. They work great. I prefer, if you didn't already get deep into your smart home configuration, to use Z-Wave whenever possible for small appliances like switches, dimmers, outlets, sensors for security systems. Z-Wave is fast, it's a mesh network, it doesn't clog up your router with unnecessary IP-based devices that don't require bandwidth. Routers, you can get crazy. I have over 100 devices on one of these, cheese doodle, couple $100 routers, and you wind up with problems with the devices that need the bandwidth, like your laptops, phones, computers, that sort of stuff. Anyways, so this dimmer is going to go in here. You'll see that gets mounted nice. We've got an outlet, about $2, 15 amps. It's going to go in like this. Close it up. We've got a power cable for AC. This is an old computer cable. You've probably got one of these laying around. So we're going to cut a length off of our power cable, feed it through the back of our single gang shallow box, attach it to our positive and negative inputs for the dimmer that supplies power to the dimmer itself, so it can connect to the Z-Wave network and do everything it needs to do. The red here is the load. The load is going to go out to our outlet, okay? On the positive side, that's the gold screw. The neutral is going to jump off the white leg here and go straight to this, okay? So once again, it's going to go, power comes in to the black and to the white, your positive and your negative. The load is going to be a separate lead jumping over to the positive on your outlet. The white is going to come right off of the neutral here and jump off of there to the silver screw to neutral on the outlet. And then essentially what we'll have is a dimmer controlling an outlet that controls a transformer that controls the light level of my under cabinet lighting. I think that sounded pretty good. First thing I'm actually going to do is be a savage and tear off these nail-ons, because I won't be needing that. So pull these out. I'm just going to see if I can tear these, or I'm going to have to go get a Dremel, it looks like, to make this nice. Yeah, these aren't going to snap off. Oh well. Guess I'm going to have to Dremel those off. I really love cordless Dremels. This is a great unit. Pick one up. It's lots better than having to plug it in with extension cords and getting in the way all the time. Much nicer. The first thing we're going to do is strip this cable. Now, if you don't have any old power supply cables from a computer lying around, you could also use an extension cord. I mean, anything 3-prong with a ground is sufficient. So now we've got our positive, the black, our neutral or negative, the white, and our ground. Perfect. Strip off 1/2 inch of each of these. Twist them all up nice. And we're going to feed this in through one of our entry points here. Once you've got that done, go in here and start making your connections. So we've got ground. Ground you may actually want to strip a little bit longer, because I'm going to have to hook around here. It doesn't have a quick seal plate on there. So I'm going to strip this a little bit longer on the ground. There we go. So we can make a nice loop. I'm going to make a hook. Hook around the screw like so. So it pulls it in as it tightens. That's super secure. Now once again, this one's only for 3-way switches. Leave that label off if you're using this model. White, black. So black we can go ahead and tighten to where it belongs. Good, nice and secure. White, we're going to hold off on tightening down, because remember, we have to jump the neutral back out of here to our other single gang, which is going to be where the transformer plugs in. So for that, I'm actually going, normally I'd use Romex for this, but you know, I think I'm just going to use some flexible stranded wire just so I can route it easier underneath the cabinets. Up to you. You can use another piece of your extension cord if you use that. That's actually a good idea. You get 2 uses out of 1 extension cord. Or I'm just going to go dig in my wires bucket and look for another power cable to use. Be right back. Okay, found another victim, another computer power cord. I have a million of these. Anyways, I'm going to cut off both connectors, strip off the insulation just like I did on this other wire, and that will be our traveler to the outlet that the dimmer is going to plug into. So now I've got my second power cable, the traveler, which is going to go to the outlet, fed through the other side of this. I am going to tie that into the outlet. Let's do that now. Actually, I need to take this ground off. I need to splice these 2 grounds together before they hook on to there. So both grounds are going to get spliced together. And here's how this is going to go. We've got our white, right? Our neutral. Both of these are going to go under that connector. That's 1 and 2. This guy's coming loose. As soon as you get them both seated nicely in there, make sure you're not crimping on the insulation. Tighten those down. Give it final secure there. Good, great connection. And our black does not go where the other black goes. The black is going to go to the load screw, which is this guy here. You can see it's labeled as RD here. So that goes to the load right there. Tighten that guy down and done. Right. So now we're going to seat this. Oh, before you do that, with this particular model of box, they've got some room over to the side in case you've got a lot of wires you gotta stuff, because it's not as deep as a normal single gang box. Just close that up because it creates a surface over here. Stuff this guy in. Tighten them down. You know, another thing I'll mention now, I'm not a big fan of Ryobi. I'm a Milwaukee guy as far as power tools go. This Ryobi is an outstanding tool. It's small, portable. I don't use my Impact anymore for little delicate things like this. It's great, tiny little battery. When you're done torquing something down, you can give it a hand torque, and it's locked in position when you do that. Great tool. I'll link that in the description too if you're interested. I don't own anything that's not Milwaukee or DeWalt. This is an exception. This thing's actually really good. Highly recommend this tool for inside the house jobs. Anyway, let's keep going. So this is all spliced in. So right now we've got this going to our outlet, which is going to plug into the wall. That's going to power the dimmer. Dimmer is going to work as if it was in the wall, but it's in our box instead, which we're going to screw to the inside of the cabinets. Then we've got this lead coming out the other side, which is going here. We're going to strip these wires off. Now we're going to connect this to our outlet here. Very much the same way as before. You're going to make little hooks. Make sure they're going clockwise, so when you screw down, they tighten down on the actual screw. Alright, there's our ground. And the silver screws are for your neutral. I need to strip a little bit more off these wires so I can make hooks. Perfect. Now, screw this guy in just like before. Once again, power supply from the wall, 120 volts. gives power to the dimmer. Dimmer connects to the Z-Wave network, which then connects to your router or switch, which allows you to control everything through Google or through the app. It also gives you manual on, off, or dim, up, down control over this outlet, which is where the transformer plugs into and gets either on, off, or variable voltage, so it can convert it from AC to DC for your LED lights under your cabinets and dim them appropriately. Now, you can see underneath my cabinet, the way this is rigged right now, that's the transformer I was telling you about. That's the outlet it's currently drawing its power from. And then the switch I showed you previously is under the cabinet to turn it on or off. No dimmer control. Okay, so let's test this and see how this is going to work. By the way, I forgot to pick up cover plates for these. You need a single gang cover plate. It's the finishing plate just for safety that's going to cover this on both of these. I'll put those on later. I know they're not on there right now, but I'm just testing. Now we've got our outlet, so instead of our transformer plugging into the wall, it's going to plug into our new outlet box instead. Get in your home. Okay, it's plugged in. And as you can see, it got brighter down here. That's because my cabinet lights are on at 100%. Let's turn off the kitchen lights. Okay, turn off the kitchen dimmer.
Sure, turning off the kitchen dimmer.
Okay, good. Control it. Well, let's see what happens when I press down. Oh, it's working. Look at how nice that is. So up and down. So we know by testing this dimmer manually, dimming the cabinet lights, that we're good. So when we connect this all to the software, and to Google, and to the apps, the verbal commands will work just like you saw with my hi-hats in the kitchen. There's no flicker. You can also set this dimmer in the settings through, click commands, that this is an LED load, which I haven't done yet. I'll do that off camera. And you can also set it to minimum dim, so you don't go too far, like what I'm about to do, and they turn off. So if that's the lowest they can go, you set that to 0. When you say, okay, G, set under cabinet dimmers to 10% or 5%, it doesn't go too low and turn them off, because that's really annoying. So that's all in the settings of the actual dimmer. You set that up through click codes that you'll read in the manual. Anyway, looks like we're ready to mount these things. So we did our dry run, so I'm going to mount this all up, make it nice, connect it to Google, and I'll show you when I'm ready to give it some voice commands. First thing we're going to do is add this to our Z-Wave network. You hold this down for 7 seconds, approximately, till that lights up there. You let go. Now to get into Z-Wave discovery mode, you click once more on the top. Now it's blinking. Then you're going to go into your Smart Things, in my case, application, Smart Things, and you see all my rooms and such, whatever. You're going to go to Things, you're going to hit the plus sign on the top right, looking for devices. There it is. Leviton dimmer, Z-Wave 600 watt. We're going to go in there and hit rename. We're going to give it a new name. I'm going to call mine cabinet lights. Okay, good. Check mark. It called it cabinet lights can't good. That's not what I wanted to call it, so let's fix that. Just cabinet lights, please. Save. Confirm. Okay, good. Cabinet lights are on. Just to test it from the app first, we're going to go to all these devices here. Cabinet lights. I'm going to hit off. Off. See, they're turning off. They turn off gracefully, which is nice too, which is dim to 0. On, dim all the way up. Really nice, right? Instead of just cold on, cold off. On to the next thing we need to do with this dimmer. We need to tell it that the load is an LED load. And you can see load type set up. Alright, so for that one, we're going to hold this down 7 seconds to get into programming mode until it turns amber, the LED at the bottom. Okay, now to get into LED load, it's 4 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4. It starts blinking green and amber. Now to tell it LED, We're going to say 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'll be green and red blinking down there for a couple. Turn off. Now it knows my load is an LED load. Okay, the under cabinet lights for me are LED. If yours are something else, you can adjust that based on the settings, whether it's CFL or incandescent. Last thing we need to do is set the minimum dim level, because if I go all the way down on the dimmer now, you see they turn off. I mean, that's not the minimum dim, that's off. So what you need to do is go back into programming, 7 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-ish. Amber, good. Now we're gonna, let's see, 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you're gonna click once, 1. Now you can set the minimum dim. Let me turn my headlight off. So that's pretty dim. That's really dim. Problem with this is sometimes you don't know whether it's gonna resume to that dim level. It's a trick. So I'm gonna start somewhat bright like this. When you're ready to exit your dim set level, hold down the top until the lights turn off. Now let's see what happens. Off. That's minimum dim and off. Let's try minimum dim, power off, power on. As long as I hit power on the minimum dim level and the lights come back on and they don't stay off, you know you've got a good minimum dim. Looks like I could even go lower than that. So I'm going to mount this up and show you when it's all done and give it some verbal commands. Okay, so before I put the cabinet drawer back in here and everything all back together, this is what I wound up with. I put the switch up here for easy manual access if necessary, right in the front. You can power on, you can power off. Okay. You can power on, you can dim from down here if you need to for whatever reason. And you can see it's just zip tied nicely, attached on there. If you don't know about these zip ties, these have a little loop on the end so you can screw and lash things like wires to surfaces. And you can see our transformer, put its outlet over there that's being controlled by the dimmer over there so it won't bump into everything. Our sliders are free. Everything should be golden. So I'm going to put the drawers back in here, test the verbal commands. I will put finish plates here and here. Just don't have single gang finish plates on me right now, and that will be that. Okay, let's do some tests. In post, I'm going to edit out the word Google so it doesn't trigger if your devices, if you guys have them, but I'm going to use that word here because I have to do it for this demo. So, okay, set the cabinet lights to 100%.
Sure, setting the cabinet lights brightness to 100%.
And this will turn off both my hi-hats and the cabinet since they're grouped. Okay, turn off the kitchen lights.
Sure, turning off 2 lights.
Okay, set the cabinet lights to 5%.
Okay, setting the cabinet lights brightness to 5%.
Okay, set the kitchen dimmer to 10%.
You got it, setting the kitchen dimmer brightness to 10%.
So it works pretty flawlessly. And as mentioned previously, if you need manual control, it's still down there. You can't see it with this lighting very good. And that's that.
You got it, setting 2 lights brightness to 50%.
Okay, so hopefully this helps some of you out there that want to get their under cabinet lighting on their smart networks at home. This is great because you do have the manual functionality underneath the cabinet, and it gets the under cabinet lighting on the network with the rest of your devices in the home. So if you liked this video, please hit like and subscribe as usual. I've got several other customized SmartThings applications and some other videos like turning your computer on and off with a momentary push button using a Chinese PCB. Some other neat things like the garage door without having to pay subscription fees like Crazy Chamberlain tries to charge. So some great stuff. So hit subscribe if you're interested in smart home functionality or just general modifications and fun projects. And any questions or comments, as usual, put them below and I'll answer any questions and try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks again. See you next time.